Welcome everyone to today's Central and Eastern European Microsoft Build Community Connect session. We are so excited to have you all here. My name is Martin Tatar and I will be one of the hosts for today's session. I find myself in beautiful Prague, Czech Republic, sunny day today with some clouds. It could change. Who all got to watch the opening Microsoft Build keynote yesterday with Satya and some of the other great speakers? I sure did. It was a lot of fun. It was a convenient time, so I watched it until midnight. One quote that stuck with me was that Satya said was, quote, "Coming together as a community is more important than ever." He then proceeded to mention the word community a couple times in his opening speech. Maybe I kind of counted 5, 6, 7 times. You could make a game out of that, if you know what I mean. We too wanted to stress the importance of the word and meaning of community. Each one of us in our daily lives belongs to some type of community, whether we know it or not. It could be our neighborhood community, the local coffee shop we visit, a sports club or team we are part of, or a community of passionate developers like this one right here, all working together. Make sure you embrace these communities and don't forget to put a smile on someone's face. And really, communities are important, is what I'm trying to say. For today's code of conduct, had to put this slide in. Our mission is to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. And this includes all the events, gatherings, digital events like Microsoft Build. So we seek to create a respectful, friendly, and inclusive experience for all participants. So we expect that all of you will abide by the code of conduct. For today's hosts, today's session will be hosted by myself, Lukasz, Lucy, Christina, and I also wanted to give a shout out to Rafael and Maria for helping us run things behind the scene. We'll have a plethora of speakers from the community and you'll learn more about the speakers. So in the next 2 hours, our hosts will guide you through a fun agenda and tell you a little bit about the Microsoft CEE community programs, Microsoft CEE as a whole, inspiring tech stories from the CEE community, a panel with local CEE community members, which I'm looking forward to listening and not speaking during the panel, a tech session on Azure, Microsoft machine learning, it says here, and some community spotlights and much more. So with that, I'm passing the microphone over to Lukasz. Lukasz, tell us a little bit about, I guess, the developer and community programs from Microsoft.
All right, hello everyone. So we have a nice menu for you. We have a small celebration today connected with Build, but of course, we are supporting even more activities like that one across Central and Eastern Europe. And of course, the best way to stay connected is to be in touch through online channels. So do not miss to follow our Facebook and Twitter accounts, where we are informing you about upcoming conferences, hackathons, and all of the online webinars that we are running in our area. The best way to be always up to date is to also sign up to Microsoft Source newsletter, where you will receive on monthly basis a very short update across all of the activities that we are creating for you, just to give you a clear path towards using more and more Azure services, and also be connected to the communities whom you will see actually in the meetup today. Let's go further. We have a couple of great sites where you could explore more Azure services. First is Microsoft Docs. I'm sure you follow the news around all of the updates that we announced yesterday, and definitely Microsoft Docs is the home for our documentation. You will see there a lot of tutorials, sample code, related to Azure, but of course that's a home for all of our solution areas. So we'll find there also the technical stuff for Microsoft 365 products and all of the other great products from Microsoft, which you've seen in the main agenda. Also, we have Microsoft Learn. So going to the next slide, we have the very hands-on platform where you could take courses around the role that you are having. We have a learning paths for AI developers, for data scientists, for DevOps experts, and also we announced yesterday the cloud-based skills challenge, which you could take till June 2nd. And of course, all of those paths are based on the content from that platform. And going further, we have certifications, and of course that's the cherry on the cake. That's the final step within that upskilling journey. We all encourage you to take one of those. The first nice one is Azure Fundamentals, and you could continue, for example, with Developer Associate, AI Engineer, and the good news is that in case you will take part in Cloud Skills Challenge, for some of you who will be like truly involved and engaged for that program, we have free exam vouchers, and we'll share more at the end of our call. So we've worked to stay. And with that, I'll hand over to you, Martin.
Wonderful, thanks, Lukasz. Let me put my camera back up. Thanks again for talking a little bit about some of the resources we have. Let's see. Sometimes it's confusing with live because there's a couple second delay, so you don't see what's live. But anyways, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the Microsoft Most Valuable Professionals. Let me just check this quickly. All right, great. So in case you never heard of MVPs, as we refer to them, we wanted to share with you who they are and tell you a little bit more about this global Microsoft community program. Microsoft Most Valuable Professionals, or MVPs as we refer to them, are technology experts who passionately share their knowledge with the community. They have very deep knowledge of Microsoft products and services, while also being able to bring together diverse platforms, products, and solutions, right? So to solve real world problems. MVPs make up a global community of over 4,000 technical experts out of around 90 countries. In CEE alone, we have 270 MVPs as community members. Above all, in addition to our MVPs' amazing technical capabilities, MVPs are always willing to help others, and I think that's a true sense of community. So to learn more, or how to find out what it takes to become an MVP, check out that simple link that I'm sharing with you right there on the screen. Nice and easy, mvp.microsoft.com. There's also another community program I wanted to mention that Christina will talk about later, is the Regional Director Program. This program consists of 160 or so world's top technology visionaries, chosen specifically for their proven cross-platform expertise, community leadership, and commitment to business results. You will typically find regional directors keynoting at top industry events all over the world, and such as today. They'll talk to us shortly here. To learn more about regional directors or how to become one, check out this link. And no, regional directors are not Microsoft employees, but they're Microsoft ambassadors. Sometimes people confuse that. One more program that I wanted to talk about, looks like, give me a second, was this one right here, Student Ambassador. So additionally, if we have any students watching us right now, and if you did not catch the announcement during yesterday's opening keynote, Microsoft launched a new community program for students referred to as the Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador Program. We highly encourage students to check it out and apply. Microsoft also offers a new student hub on Microsoft Learn, where we offer a lot of free training certified by several universities and colleges from around the world. Who got to watch the finals of Imagine Cup, by the way, yesterday? Put down in the chat your favorite finalist. Mine was, I think they were referred to as Syrinx, is my favorite team. So check them out. Let us know in the chat who was your favorite finalist if you watched. With that being said, it's time to move on in the agenda and show some inspiring tech stories from the community. So the first story we have coming up is from Alexander Krakovetsky from Donor UA, and I'm going to try to play a little video. We'll see if it works. My teammates, please let me know in the chat if you can hear the video when it starts, and if it doesn't work, we'll just skip it. So these are the real things that happen in the online event world. So let me try to click it and we'll see. Just a second. Get it queued up here. And we'll see if it works. Mm-hmm. 2 more seconds. See if it works. Okay. So I'm sending it live. So let's see if it works. There we go. Desktop. Send live. All right. So let me know if you can hear it, my teammates, on the live session. If not, then we'll just scratch it. I'll tell you when. 3, 2, 1, go. Let me know if you can hear it. All right. Well, sounds like we can't hear it. Well, we tried it. Never mind. We'll move on to the real deal again. Let's go with Alexander if you're here, and so that you can tell us about the event. Let me put you live. Just a second. All right, go ahead, Alexander. Start, and I'll put the slides up in the meantime.
Okay, do you hear me? Hello, my name is Alexander, and I'm the CTO at Donor UA. The project was started in 2015, and since that time, I'm involved in this project, not as a full-time, but still, this is the very important project in my life. The next slide, please. So each country in the world has own situation in blood donation area. It could be different legislation, different kind of budgeting, different healthcare system. But if we will summarize the top 3 problems in that area, that could be the following. The first and the biggest problem in that area is a blood shortage. It's very important to have a donated blood right in a right place in the right time. That's a very complicated task, and different countries and governments solve this problem differently, but in most of the cases, that problem is very, very complicated. The world is changed, and for the last 10 years, world become more digital, and people start using YouTube, social media, some other kind of sources of getting information. And that means that all methods of recruiting blood donors have now low effectiveness. And that means that the cost of recruitment is increasing. So that also means that a lot of countries and a lot of blood centers could not receive enough blood in time. And the last but not least is the lack of motivation and engagement. So the young people, they really want to know the impact they have on others. They don't want to do something good if they don't know who is the recipient of this goodness. So that requires of the blood centers and healthcare institutions to think differently how to engage these people. Could you please, next slide. So we started to talking with blood donors. So we thought that if we would start to talk to blood donors and explain them that blood donation is a very cool thing, it's safe, it saves lives, that would solve the problem. But we were wrong. Only if you have a different stakeholders, and if all these stakeholders working on solving the problem, that problem could be solved. So we started to build an ecosystem of different stakeholders. We start working with hospitals, with city municipalities, with healthcare professionals, with social responsible business. And Donor.ua becomes the orchestrator organization between different parties and stakeholders. Next, please. So back in 2015, we started with a simple Excel file with a list of blood donors and their phones. And the people start calling them each time when the request was come to us. You can understand that this approach is not very good and has less effectiveness. So we started to build the data platform and working with different data sources, such as open data, social media, government open data, legislation, e-health, but also with the third-party organizations, some healthcare laboratories, hospitals, and having this information in one space, we could provide different services for different stakeholders. We can make recommendations to blood donors, where and to whom they need to donate blood. We have a real-time monitoring of blood supply and demand on a national level. We use some kind of artificial intelligence to make our processes more automated and intelligence. And we use, of course, data analytics to show the data and understand what is happening. Next, please. And this is the numbers we collect for these years. And these numbers were collected without any paid advertisement. So that's just the organic growth of the project. So we have 35,000 registered donors. We have a couple of thousands recipients that receives blood in time. We conducted a lot of corporate camps, and nowadays we have more than 60 blood centers that integrated into the Donor.ua system. But more important, please, the next slide, is another KPI. So back in 2015, we spent almost 3 or 4 days to find a donor. And that was a disaster, because when we found this donor, sometimes it was too late. And for now, I can say that we decreased the average time for finding donor to few hours, to 4 hours, and that's really incredible. So I would like to thank Microsoft for the Microsoft for Nonprofit program. We received the Azure credits and Office 365 for free, and we joined this program 5 years ago, and we very glad to be part of this program. And the next slide, please. And this is the good example of how technology can save lives and can improve the world we live in. So thank you so much for your attention. Give blood and save lives.
Thank you, Alexander. That was wonderful. I know it may be difficult to explain sometimes over online, and when the video didn't work, but still wonderful. If I had the chance to donate blood here locally, I would. And I think it's a great project. You might have seen Alexander's video play at Microsoft Build in somewhere on Channel 9 or during the different sessions. So keep an eye out for it. All right, well, we'll move on with our content. That was one inspiring story. We have another inspiring story here that's coming up. That's going to be from Damir Dizdarevic from Bosnia and Herzegovina. And Damir is, I guess, take over the microphone. I'll drop your video in, and you can tell us more.
Thanks, Martin. You hear me well?
Yeah, and you're live.
Great. Hi everybody, I'm Damir Dezdarevic from Sarajevo, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Microsoft MVP and RD. And during the previous 2 months, I was dealing with a kind of specific challenge and little projects in implementing Microsoft Teams in kindergartens. Martin, can you just please move on the next slide? Thank you. So when the isolation measures have been applied in my country, most of the schools and most of the kindergartens were closed. And since I'm a father of 2 daughters, one in school and one in kindergartens, I was carefully following how they handle all this situation. And while schools actually managed up to get the online teaching very fast, the kindergartens were kind of left in the dark. So I take one specific challenge and try to provide an online hanging out or online teaching between kids and their teachers, and to provide them ability to actually connect online on daily basis so they can stay in touch. Of course, because of the target audience was quite a specific, it should be as simple as possible, and we also had to make sure that everybody have a decent experience of using that. Since we are talking about kids between 3 or 6 and 6 years old, and of course their parents and the teachers that had very limited or no previous online experience with Teams or with other platforms, it was kind of pretty hard to engage them in a short period of time. Also, since I had no ability to conduct in-person trainings, I had to find out some other solution. Also, we do some survey between kids' parents in this kindergarten that was in a piloting, and realized that we have several platforms to support because each kid had some specific device provided by their parents or the device that they're using for games or something like that. So unlike using Teams with adults, where we can take several things for granted, here nothing was for granted except the platform itself. So there was several challenges actually to solve here, but luckily it all happens pretty good. Martin, just please switch the slide. So the solution here was I decided to use the academic program of Microsoft with the Office 365 A1 license, and to use Teams to provide it with that license. The easiest part was actually to configure the platform, because that was something that I can do for myself. So I configured the Teams so that each kindergarten group has its own space, so they can meet and they can share some engagement materials. Since I was not able to provide an in-person training for the teachers and also for the parents, I decided to write detailed step-by-step guides in our local language for teachers and for parents, so they can use it for not just to use Teams, but also to install the application, to log to their accounts, to connect to the meeting, to get the materials the teachers put there, and every other stuff. After that, I provided several very intensive online trainings with teachers, and work with them to encourage them actually to use Teams features to engage kids. I must say that at the beginning they were pretty frightened on how that all will work, because they are actually not used to that in their in the normal situation. But after a few sessions, they all accepted that. We are talking about 10 to 12 teachers from this pilot kindergarten, and with no exception, they all accepted this as a solution and actually provide a pretty good experience. So Martin, please, next slide. I'm very happy to say that after 10 to 15 days of a preparation and configuration, we had a complete success, and more than 80 kids and the 10 teachers started to use Teams. Teachers started to use Teams with video calls with the kids every day, and they were putting engagement materials after the sessions, so the parents can show that to their kids. There were kind of some paint books or some interesting videos, cartoons, and everything else that they can put in Teams. I was also very surprised to see that the kids, a bit older kids, like 4+ years, were actually get used to the Teams UI very fast. even if it's not a software meant for kids. But I was really surprised that both my daughter and the other kids actually get used to that very fast, and they were using it even without parents' help. And that was actually our main goal, to provide an experience where the parents will not have to help the kids and be with them all the time, but just actually connect them to the meeting and left them with their teachers and other kids. We had a few issues here, but actually the biggest one, fortunately, it was solved a few days ago. We had a limited number of video streams, because Teams until recently had a chance only to show 4 videos at a time, and kids were actually wanted to see each other. So we had to deal with that, and also because of the specific target audience, teachers had to find a way to manage with the kids when they're trying to speak at the same time. And but eventually, in a few meetings, everything sorted out. So some kids also had a limited bandwidth from time to time. The teachers also, but since the Teams experience is very optimized for the low bandwidth, we also were able to manage that. And actually, for almost two months, this project is running in one kindergarten. In the meantime, since I've published all these guides that I wrote on my blog, and actually put them for free for everybody who wants to use that in the kindergartens, a lot of people downloaded that. And a lot of people contacted me after that to say thank you and to confirm that they successfully implemented Teams in their kindergartens or in the primary schools, and I was really happy about that. So thank you very much for your attention, and Martin.
Wonderful, Damir, wonderful.
Yeah.
I can't, what a wonderful story. I had a very similar story here in Slovakia and Czech Republic, especially in Slovakia. So my mom runs a preschool, and there's 13,000 officially registered preschools, aka kindergartens, in Slovakia. And out of those, we could say less than 50 switched to online education. And I helped my mom's preschool be one of them. And I just I can closely connect to your story because it's just, dear and near to me. So thank you for sharing. Thank you for what you did. It's a big one. Thank you.
Yeah, I was really happy to do that. Thank you.
Thanks again. So next up, we have a panel. For our panel, we forgot to show the pictures, but here's a couple pictures.
Yes, yeah, we have a few pictures. Yeah, that's actually a few screenshots of the kids using the Teams. Also with their pets. In the left picture, you can see my daughter with her pets, and using Teams with the other children and showing them her toys. And on the other one, you can see one screenshot of the Teams with their teacher. So, yeah.
That's great. I don't know if I like the Lego car or the cat more. I need to decide.
Yeah, I actually put it with my daughters. It's over the 1,000 pieces together.
Nice. Yeah, the students actually found it very engaging to show their teachers what they have at home. They were so excited, show and tell, bring me your favorite pet or stuffed animal. And it was exciting. Anyways, thanks for that, Damir. Moving on, we have a panel on the future of tech and CEE, some interesting questions and answers to be had for sure by some very cool individuals here. For this, we'll have Lucy and Christina kick it off and moderate, and I'll be in the background. Thanks again, Damir.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, Lucy.
I hope everyone can hear me. Thanks for confirming. So, hello, everyone, once again, and thanks for joining the panel on the future of tech in Central and Eastern Europe. In this part, we will interview 6 regional directors from our region. We will discuss the impact of current situation on IT industry in our region specifically. Our panelists will provide their own perspective on this topic. If anyone from the audience has any question to our panelists, please post the question to the chat window. We will make sure to book some time at the end of this part to ask these questions our panelists. But before we jump to the questions and to the discussion, Christina, why don't you tell us more about the Regional Directors Program?
Sure, Lucy. Thank you very much. Yes, so the Regional Director Program is one of the top community programs Microsoft has. Is also what we call internally Voices of the Industry. And regional directors are not Microsoft employees, are business leaders within the IT industry who have a very deep technical knowledge and many years of experience in this area, in technology. They are more or less 130 people around the world. So we're very happy to have some of them based here in Central and Eastern Europe. And the great thing about them is that they love to share their experience with the community and with Microsoft as well. So with that, turning back to Lucy so that we can start the panel discussion.
Wonderful. Thanks for the introduction of the ADI program. So the first question is same for all the panelists, but we will start with Alex. So we want to hear your perspective. So the first question is that given the current situation where every one of us we are living in, do you think that companies should invest more into IT right now? Is it the right time to invest more? And what are the trends you are seeing that indicate so? Alex?
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic question, and hopefully you can hear me. This is one of those questions which everyone has these days, right? Can you hear me? Hello, hello, can you see my face? Can you see my screen? I couldn't agree more, in fact. I think it is the best time to invest right now. And I know that this may sound funny because you see a lot of financial experts and a lot of people out there especially in the financial industry, telling you that you no longer have cash flow, and that we even see it ourselves. Customers are telling us that they don't want to invest as much or they don't want to pay as much on their invoices. But we do see tech giants such as Microsoft actually investing billions and billions of dollars. We have seen Satya's keynote the other day actually, where he was talking about the new Azure regions in both Italy and Poland, which is here in CEE, in New Zealand. And we constantly see this desire to, well, they call it digital transformation. But I guess throughout this week, if every time you hear digital transformation, if you only had a penny for that, you'd be rich. But I really believe that it actually goes even further than that. It's not only digital transformation. It's the entire way we think and interact and use technology in our favor. Think like the blood donation example Alexander had previously. I'm a blood donor myself, and I know how the procedures work, and I know how difficult it is to bring in donors and have the right data and draw through data at your disposal. I too was among those who have implemented Teams for my own kids in kindergarten and school, and I have seen them literally use commodity hardware and commodity software at their own use. Something which previously might not be directly comprehensible or might not have been something that they would, well, they might have imagined it, but they wouldn't imagine that it would be so easily accessible for everyone. I'll give you another example. We see a lot of investments these days in AI and quantum and a lot of these things which seem a bit out of reach for most software developers. In my utopic world, software development will be all about Legos, because we saw a Lego picture earlier, just building blocks and putting things together. And actually on the Build website right now, you know how they all keep on saying every developer is welcome, every developer is not only accepted, but is highly regarded as somebody who should put their own talents into effort. But a lot of people didn't realize there's actually a translation button which happens right now for American Sign Language. So if you're hearing impaired, you can still watch live, build, and get the full value out of it. Now imagine having AI rather than having a human being do the same thing for you. This idea of investing further, in my opinion, as an RD, as a business owner, is extremely important. And I think this is the right moment to do so.
Thank you, Alex. Cyprian, how about you?
So I'm checking, and I don't know if we have Ciprian because he had a big storm and some electricity outages. So we'll just move over to Damir for now. No worries. Damir, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, well, thanks you. I think it's really a good question. And since the company that I'm running is a pretty big system integrator here in Bosnia and Herzegovina, I can say that in the previous 2 months, we were very busy. Luckily, we were able to do most of our job online, but we were kind of surprised on how the companies were mostly unprepared to actually do a remote work, and how much of the urgent investments in a remote work we have seen during these 2 months. And I also realized that the bigger company is that the unpreparation level was bigger. And most of these companies are actually very, very good clients and very reliable, and they were investing in the IT in the previous years, but they really invested a little amount of money into remote work. And during the previous 2 months, we have seen a lot of urgent requests to implement the remote work solutions, not just solutions as a teams to actually get a collaboration between the employees, but also a solution to access the internal data from external location, mostly from the user's home. So in next year, and even more, we expect to see a lot of investments in the remote work solutions and collaboration solutions. And one thing also that I've noticed, and it probably specific for this region or my country, is that the online shopping was also unprepared for such situation. Maybe it's a matter of the mentality here, because people like to go in stores, but once everything was closed, actually very few of them, few of the stores were able to provide a decent online shopping experience. And what we also see is the increased demand to provide the online shopping solutions, not just for the situations like we are currently going through, but also to be something as an extension of the real life for in-person shopping experience. So there are 2 trends that I can see here in the local market that will probably be very exposed in the next 12 to 18 months.
Thank you, Damir. Mihail, do you want to add your perspective?
Yes, thank you very much. Actually, now we have very good options in our region regarding to the opportunities, and I will explain some details. From one side, all business now is going to have a faster digital transformation, which means investment not only in areas where high-tech companies work, but for all possible business domains. From another hand, there is investment, especially in several areas related to remote work. From one side, already colleagues said remote work, conferencing, virtual offices. From another hand, now business realize that there should be additional investment in some other areas, like security, for example. Security now stay more and more important because now people work remotely, and now we need to apply different standards, and cloud help us to do this. Microsoft also help us with Microsoft 365 and other related technologies. So definitely we have very good opportunities. Also, now there is more investment in Internet of Things and artificial intelligence against around these opportunities, people and team members to work remotely. From another hand, we stay more competitive worldwide because now everyone works remotely. That means in the past, if we need to do consulting for specific customers, it was preferable to go to specific location. So quite often customers are in different regions and we needed to travel. And it was sometime advantage if you live in specific area. But now everyone do this remotely. So experienced people definitely can do this remotely, and the options for more people from Central East Europe to do that are much more flexible, and our business offers these good opportunities. And probably also need to mention education. Now everyone invests in education in IT industry, not only high-tech companies, not only software engineers, but all companies which have different systems, and their people need to learn a lot and to grow their experience regarding to their own systems, invest in education. So there is huge growth of everything around online education. I can summarize, we have very, very good advantages in our region regarding to the new trends, regarding to the case that everything stay remotely, and we can offer our competency everywhere worldwide. Thank you.
I cannot agree more, Mihail. Thanks for your perspective. Now I would like to ask Stavros to share his view as well.
Yeah, good evening from me as well. My name is Stavros Menegos, and we are located in Greece, and we operate in our region mostly. One of the things that we as ISVs, Microsoft partners, see concerning this COVID-19 area and the days to come relates to whether there will be a financial crisis or not, or to which extent to every country and to every enterprise with a different impact. However, this kind of epidemic has made all of us and most of our customers change the way we thinking of how we are going to do business and where we are going to specialize. So in terms, I totally agree with the previous speakers, my colleagues, that the digital transformation will certainly be facilitated, or there will be a need to change things quickly for the companies to survive and to succeed for the years to come. There are several areas that we expect that they will have some major considerations on whether to invest on IT or not. Mostly in the physical retail, the in-shop retail experience, we expect that IT there will be less in lower priority. However, there are other sectors like the e-commerce and logistics or professional services, enterprises that they do professional services. Furthermore, especially for our region, we expect that the manufacturing process, even if it's about discrete manufacturing or continuous manufacturing, will be strengthened as an industry, just because we faced all the supply chain problems from China or from other vendors due to not only to the COVID, but also to transportation issues and border allowances issues. So we are thinking that even though some industries will decrease their budget in IT in order to reserve some of their cash flow or some of their investments due to in order to anticipate lower turnovers, but there will be other companies, and even from the area of small companies or medium enterprises that will invest towards those directions. And if we think that it's not only about making everything digital, but also back office processes in a digital way, for example, selling through an e-shop is one of the things that most of the retailers need nowadays more than the days before. But even with that, we have seen that they need to also transform the processes at the back end in order to alleviate and to the problems of the logistics of the deliveries and of the a better and more clever, let's say, utilization of their resources, whether it's material and merchandising or human resources, especially with these limitations, let's say, of social distancing, that we will be here for a couple of months. So we believe that there is an opportunity here. I cannot guess, and I wouldn't try to estimate whether it would be a huge opportunity, but certainly software and software solutions, integrations, there will be for the smart companies that are looking for optimizations.
Thanks, Stavros. And last but not least, Tomislav.
Hello. So I would agree with a lot of my colleagues before what they said, but also a little bit disagree, because what we are actually seeing is not digital transformation. We are seeing only the basic digitization of the businesses. So digital transformation is actually the process which takes a long time to happen, and I will agree with Stavros that he said that they need to change the business processes in the behind. So the technology is the enabler. It's something that will actually help this process, but it's not the key thing that can just over the night change all the things. But some things actually did change over the night. We saw the presentation from Alexander and Damir about their projects and how they change education, actually part of the healthcare. And I can see, I can also witness, one thing that most of the colleagues didn't mention is the emergency services. We had, like not just COVID, pandemic here, but also we had a devastating earthquake, which was in the, at the spike, in the spike of the epidemic. And the problem was that it was one in 140 years that happened. A lot of people lost their homes and they need to, get out on the streets when the streets actually were empty because of the pandemic. And, public services were not up to the task. And the private businesses and enthusiastic actually drop in and developed small services that actually help those people to get home quickly, get, some temporary accommodation, also old buildings that were there is buildings that are for 700 years old, and those buildings are not up to the earthquake civil engineering today is standard. So actually some buildings should be, turned down, and you need to know, and the only thing you can do is actually to send some people there. But also technology was used, drones were used to actually monitor the roofs and the chimneys. The chimneys were the most, the hardest problem in Zagreb, in Croatia. And, gather all the data even before the parliament or the city of Zagreb, which is a capital here, actually gather these data and help the people as soon as it was possible in the conditions when it was very dangerous to actually visit those houses, those flats, and so on. So this area of emergency services will be, crucial not just for the CEE region, but for the Europe and the world, because we are global now, global village, and everything what happens in China happens with some delay in other parts of the world, and vice versa. And the other thing, like digital transformation in the public services, in the government services, I think that a lot of our countries, not just in the region, but in Europe, experienced, that a lot of processes that were not being able to do online or not to be able to do digital, now it is possible to do that. And I think that this current situation actually catalyzed the situation in these processes to emerge and to actually be digitized. And I'm sorry to say, but digital transformation will wait a little time, in the future.
Wonderful.
Thanks, Tomislav.
Thank you, Tomislav. Lucy, back to you. Sorry.
Thanks, everyone. So just to quickly summarize, we've heard a lot of points. So I've heard Many times that remote work was mentioned. We also, or the panelists, they see opportunity in the process automation, security. That's something that probably should be improved, because now when everyone is working from home and they need to access data of their companies, that's something that could be an opportunity. And I've heard also that somebody mentioned that there is a huge opportunity and huge growth in the online education. So thanks everyone, thanks for answering the first question. And now we are going back to Christina.
Hi again, everyone. Thank you as well for the great industry insights. The second question will be, of course, about technical community. So we don't have a very skilled developer and IT pro population, and in our region, in Central and Eastern Europe, with a lot of young developers coming out of university, as well as software engineers. And I would like to ask you, what are the trends and opportunities do you see in the community, and what are the ones that are you most excited about in the year ahead? So I think similar as we did before, so we will start the round with Alex. So Alex, would you like to answer first, please?
Yeah, sure, go ahead. So there are several trends right now, and I was just looking at the chat window when somebody was asking us previously about technologies and today and finding the right people and whatnot. And I think it all comes down not only to the technology per se and to the trends that you were referring to, but to how fast technology is moving. I'm a software developer and I've been developing software for the past 20 years. And I vividly remember a couple of decades ago when we were still discussing about the VB world and the .NET world and things like that. And it no longer is like that. Today, we no longer want to have a breadth of knowledge, but we'd rather have a depth of knowledge and have what we usually call as horizontal teams, where you have multiple individuals capable of doing several tasks rather than only a single task. So as you graduate from the uni, you can't really expect to know them all, but you don't have to either. And I think the key takeaway here is just make sure that you're aware of the trends. You're aware of people who are into DevOps and what DevOps is all about. Because it's more than just knowing YAML or more than just knowing how you work with GitHub Actions or with Azure DevOps and whatnot. It's actually about the continuous delivery of value towards your customers. And this also involves soft skills, knowing how to work with teams, knowing how to properly collaborate, knowing how to close down a pull request, knowing how not to blame people, but rather to cooperatively work with them so that you continuously deliver value. And if we come down back to where our feet, because I was talking previously about AI and things like that, and now we could use all of that in favor of digital transformation. I think with the biggest challenge these days is staying relevant in this very fast moving industry that we are in. And once we are on the wave, we can just go ahead with it. The matter of the technology per se or the tooling is only, well, pick your weapon of choice rather than anything else.
Okay, thank you very much, Alex. So let's move on, and I think Damir will come next and tell us a little bit what are these trends and behaviors that you are seeing in the community starting now.
Yeah, thanks, Christina. Well, community here in a whole region of the ex-Yugoslavia, because we speak mostly the same language, so we kind of still looking at it as a one community. This was pretty intensive in the last period, and we discussed a few times of what we can do actually different, having in mind the current situation and some kind of uncertainty of how things will go in a future. What are the main challenges and how we can engage more people, and what we can specifically provide to be different than the whole world, than the rest of the world. Because if the communities are going to totally switch to online, which is currently the situation, and in comparing to the in-person meetings that we were preferring before, then we have to actually compete in a good way with the rest of the world. How can we be different from that? And one of the meetings that we had, where we met with the other community leaders from this region, we actually realized, and I'm very glad that Martin also mentioned that in one of the calls that we had, that the key is actually that the community talks about solutions for the specific local market, and to actually close make closer these solutions to the local market, not talking about just the technology itself. Because if we are going to make some online meetings about, for example, what's new in the Microsoft 365, we probably wouldn't be much interesting than the other people talking about that, except for the thing that we are talking the local language. But if we are talking about the specific local solutions that can be built on Azure or Microsoft 365 or some or other platforms, then we can engage more people, both to present their solutions and both to come to us for a consultancy on how to implement the solution. Because things in the technology are changing rapidly, not just because of this situation, but also because of the other market trends. And as we said in a previous question, there are many new opportunities are being opened currently, especially in the IT field. Both security solutions, remote work solutions, but not just that. This is the great opportunity to actually show people why it's very beneficial to move their services and data to cloud. Because instead of investing into remote work solutions in a way that you are investing to something that will enable you to connect to your local network at your workplace and access the data or the services, you can actually move that service and the data to the cloud and actually don't have any issues with the remote connection. That is something that that community can do a really lot about by presenting the specific solutions and comparing that to the existing on-premise solutions. Thanks.
Okay, David, thank you very much. Yes, I see from what you said, as well as Alex, that staying relevant is one key aspect for community leaders and for communities in general to be successful. And also, you mentioned something that it's, another thing we need to put a lot of attention to, and it's to talk about solutions and about technologies that are applicable and relevant to the local market and to the environment where you're working at. Okay, thank you very much. So let's move on now and give the word to Mikhail Matev.
Thank you, Christina. I agree 100% with other speakers who already explained their impressions. I will try to add several details. From one side, because now everyone invests in education, it happens that more and more people are interested in our events. We stay more popular and more people actually join online events. It happens that many online platforms offer education on the pure technical level. So as other people said, now there is more and more interest related to some use cases and some business domains, not just related to some technical skills related to specific framework or platform. From another hand, we have a very good opportunity to stay international. All our events already are announced worldwide, and if we have even one attendee who does not speak local language, we actually present in English. We are trying to have more and more attendees worldwide. And it's stated we stay more connected with communities from other regions. From another hand, we learned a lot. We started to present better online, and also probably in the future, we will have online sessions for all events in person, which we hopefully we'll start again to do at the end of the year. From another hand, we learned that we need to have better organization and higher requirements for online on-site events in the future. So despite that, probably we will have both. We will consider much more things related to conferences, which we will organize in the future. In any case, my impression is that we will learn more useful things and we will stay to do better events in person or online in any case. So we just grow our experience, and for us it stay very useful that we were enforced actually to go in this direction. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Mikhail. Yes, absolutely. I think that doing in-person events, it's a wonderful thing, and probably our community, many people are missing this in-person touch. On the other hand, it's very interesting what you said, that now, given that all events have moved to virtual mode, the community has become more global. And probably this is giving the opportunity also to all of you to keep learning and bring a lot of fresher content, stay tuned on what the latest technology brings, and also be able to engage with more people broadly, which is a very interesting aspect as well. So a lot of interesting things regarding education as well, and how the community complements the formal education offering by giving or bringing new topics, new aspects, and also connecting the local student, developer, professional software engineers across the region, what was happening in other parts of the world as well. So thank you very much for your insights. And moving on, I think the next panelist where we would like to hear insights from is it's Stavros. So Stavros, please feel free to open your microphone.
Yeah, I did so. Thank you very much, Christina. I agree with most of the comments and the points that have been stated before by the previous colleagues, both Martin and Damir and Alex. I would like to add a couple of experience from our own ecosystem here in Greece and in my company, who has been working with the software development since the beginning. One of the things that I think that is going to change as far as community is concerned is the perception of remote working, and actually remote working with people that you haven't been working in close together for many years before. And even though we have been, at least in my company, which is my experience as well as a head of the technical department, even though we have, encouraged remote working now and then, several days a week, with colleagues that we have been working together for many years, now through this long period of remote and working and social distancing, we came across with different processes and different skills needed, especially for the senior engineers, in order to coordinate people. And this is one finding. And the other finding is that we can now easily think of, let's say, engaging freelancers, concepts that are more familiar with in the United States, in Australia, or in other parts of the, highly developed countries. I think now it becomes more evident that companies here in our region can also think of remote working for partial pieces of software, or for even bigger parts of software from other people all around the world, just because we have been, engaged into this in any case. And the second finding has to do with some things that Alex said about, having people with soft skills in technical environment, especially Microsoft technologies, or technologies that are related to state-of-the-art things like machine learning, AI, or different other areas. It seems that nowadays, maybe it's difficult to look for skills that it's like we used to say a full stack developer. I mean, one that knows everything from the data to the user interface or to the ML or AI, but rather have some few people in order that can coordinate and split the work into small pieces of work in Lego bricks, and having soft skill people working on those Lego bricks. And this is, I think, does nothing have to do with the COVID era that we are living in, but the way technologies are changing. So these are two messages for the community, and we are looking for people that have soft skills in certain areas, so we can integrate into bigger solutions to form solutions for our customers. As far as the material is concerned, I think the distance will make sure will be a driving force for more material to come online, conferences, training sessions, peer-to-peer training sessions, either free or in paid. One thing that I will miss, or at least I'm missing, is the actual, like you said, Christina, is getting touch to touch in person with friends from all around the world in events like Microsoft Build or MVP Summits or other similar events. And I think this is one thing that we are going to miss, at least for a short period of time.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Stavros. Very interesting insights as well. Yeah, I agree with you that globalization is also one of the drivers of the community, especially right now. And there are a lot of demand for certain technical topics that are more related to digitalization of certain areas of businesses, or how companies can move to hybrid environments and maybe go more global thanks to technology as well. And the second thing that you mentioned, it's extremely interesting as well. And Alex mentioned it at the beginning of this round too, and it's how important soft skills are, when looking for developers. Now we see that with the new AI technologies, for example, natural language programming is something that it's very demanded as well, and for that you need to have people who are really very skilled in understanding how language processes works, for example. So, and this open a door as well for other type of professionals that maybe may complement the regular development skills of the technicians that we used to have in the industry as well. So really interesting insights too. And last but not least, let's move on and ask Tomislav Bronzin about, what are your insights regarding trends and opportunities for the community in the year ahead?
Thank you, Christina. You just summarized very well what my previous colleagues said. So I would just, address two things. First thing is that actually what everybody said, that they are missing in-person events, in-person, communication. So tomorrow actually starts a mixed reality conference. It overlaps a little bit with the build, but this conference is different. They actually are using virtual devices, virtual reality devices, mixed reality devices, and trying to build avatars and build environment that will actually represent like a physical environment and the physical touch on the quotation, of course. So I think that in the future, it's very near future, there will be a need, not just for the conferences, for the meetings, mixed reality and of course the virtual reality, augmented reality are the keywords which will actually, together with the other new technologies like artificial intelligence or like computer vision and all other machine learning, of course, part of the process. And this is the area which I see a heavy interest from the community, but also not just from the technical community, but also from the business community, education community, healthcare community. In telemedicine, there is a huge demand on this technology, not just teleworking, working from home for some kind of administrative processes, but also in the industry. You cannot, for example, today go to China or even to Austria, from Croatia, and do the, some kind of the industry process. For example, mounting new machine that you send to this country, you actually need to the guide, somebody who is there, who is wearing some kind of headset, and you can see what he or she is seeing and advise him or telling him what to do. So this is one thing. And other thing is that there is a question actually from the one of the attendee about adopting Azure, technologies, Azure platform in the region. We're seeing more and more adoption, and actually before the pandemic, there was a huge interest in going in the cloud. But this emergency actually told us that the cloud itself is not the answer, and more people are talking about the hybrid solution, because there is like Cyprian, I see that he joined us in this panel, but unfortunately he had power outage and the communication outage with the rest of the world. So in this situation you need to have a hybrid solution, and of course you will use the cloud as much as possible, but the hybrid solution enables businesses, live emergency services to operate even there is a power outage or communication outage and you cannot connect to the cloud. So I think edge edge is also the technology that will be in the focus along with the cloud, and of course everybody in the business today understand, especially in the Croatia when the earthquake actually infected all the businesses, and everybody fully understood that they cannot rely on their local networks, local servers, because the connection was not enough, for example, 200, 400 people to connect through the one connection, but they actually migrate to the cloud. But said again, we need to cover both on-premise, or I would more say on the edge and in the cloud, so hybrid solution will be the focus of the new technology communities in the future. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Tomislav. Interesting insights as well about edge integration, hybrid environments, and how to leverage the cloud according to every business need, and also to according to the environment. So really appreciate your insights as well. And then, so we will have a last question for Cyprian, who just joined. Thank you very much, Cyprian. So I would like to ask you, to ask you, what are the trends and the opportunities that you see in the IT industry in the region, as well as if you can tell us a little bit about community as well. So please feel free to open your microphone.
Yes, hi everybody, and so sorry for being held up with some technical issues. So I think in addition to what my colleagues from the panel have already said, what I think we will see in the next 12 to 18 months is also a significantly increased interest in all technologies that are related in any way or shape to digital human interaction. I think that whether we talk about VR or we talk about online meetings or about online conferences, online trainings, or any kind of type of digital human interaction, all technologies surrounding this will be probably red hot technologies in the next 12 to 18 months. And I also think that we will see a fundamental shift in how technical communities engage. And I don't think this fundamental shift will disappear once the situation of the world will revert back to what we call the old normal. I think we are in the middle of a fundamental shift, both from the technology point of view and of the interaction point of view, that is clearly here to stay. So I believe that in addition to what we have seen so far, like AI, machine learning, even quantum computing, public cloud, we will begin to see huge interest on technologies that touch the digital human interaction. I believe that for communities specifically, and this is why some say that it's kind of unexpected from my side. I believe the current situations for technical communities is a big opportunity, simply because it is way easier now to get access to speakers, to content that was more difficult to get in the era of in-person meetings. Think about having someone to talk to your community, to talk to your user group, to talk to your meetup about any kind of technology, and you probably want to have the best person in the world or the top 10 persons in the world. Now, with this shift in the mindset, because obviously there is a shift in the mindset and it's here to stay, now you have more opportunities to engage with high value knowledge, with exceptional people from all around the globe in your own local community. So I personally regard it more like an important opportunity than a problem. I fully agree with the fact that direct interaction, physical interaction is missing. I personally miss it as well. But I tend to see this as I mentioned, as a huge opportunity mostly for local communities like the ones that we run in our CEE countries.
Thank you very much, Cyprian. Just to wrap up, because we're running out of time, just to mention interesting insights about how digital human interaction will become, not only in the region, but also globally. And the shift on mentality and behaviors, and also, you know, a lot of focus on AI, machine learning, quantum computing, all new technologies to come into the community, and a huge opportunity also for our communities in CEE to get access to very skilled international global speakers, global content as well, and resources than ever before. So thank you very much, everyone, for participating at this panel expert session, and hope to see you online during the rest of the Build conference. And then giving back to Martin and Lucy.
Thanks. So this is Martin again. Let's actually move on to the next session, which is going to be Dimitri presenting. So we'll, Dimitri, I guess you can share your screen. If you need my help to figure that out, let me know. But you're up next, so take the floor, take the mic. Thanks for the great panel. It was absolutely lovely. I'm going to watch the recording again for some of those answers. All right, go ahead, Dimitri. We can't hear you. I think
sorry.
you're muted.
Hello.
There you go.
Yeah, now you can probably hear me. Hello, everyone. And now we are having the technical session because the Build is a technical conference, and it's time to talk about something deeply technical. I have 25 minutes to tell you about three very complicated things. One of them is open domain question answering model, training language model to answer questions on any arbitrary text. And then I will also speak about Azure ML and about a library called Deep Pavlov, which makes solving those problems much easier. So to begin with, let me introduce myself. I am cloud developer advocate, for the only one in CEE, and my role is to provide contact for developers with Microsoft product teams. Like giving you the information that on new Microsoft products, and also bringing the feedback back to the product team. So if you are ever not satisfied with Microsoft development products, you know whom to go to. You can contact me and let me know that you are not happy with Visual Studio or something like that. Please do not tell me you're not happy with Office, because that's not something I can do. So let's talk about open domain question answering, what it is. It's one of the most complex tasks in natural language processing today. Think about it like creating the universal chatbot that would know everything about the text it has read. So for example, the the setting we want to have is be able to have the Wikipedia, give this Wikipedia to a neural network model, and we want to be able to answer any arbitrary questions specifically. Like, for example, after reading Wikipedia, we want to answers to questions like when did Linmouth floods happen, and we want the specific answer like 1804, not the piece of text where this is mentioned, but we want specific answers from this text. This problem is called open domain question answering because it is applicable to multiple problem domains. And one of the things we can apply it to is, for example, the data set of COVID-related papers. You know that there is an open data set called CORD-19, which contains over 63,000 papers about COVID virus. And this is the huge amount of information. And this data set is available open source, and there is a number of challenges happening at Kaggle now to extract meaningful information from this data set and to be able to structure it, provide automatic summarization and things like that. And one of the things like I wanted to try to do is to train this open domain question answering model to answer questions about the information from this data set. So after this training, for example, we would be able to ask it what is coronavirus, and it will give us the answer that it's a respiratory tract infection. And things like what is the reproductive number and other questions we want to be able to answer in a meaningful way. How this can be possibly done? Well, if you take all tasks related to natural language processing, there are many different tasks. The simplest one being intent classification, when we just want to classify pieces of text according to some intents, according to some classes. More complex tasks involve recognizing entities in text, doing text summarization, and finally this question answering model. Question answering model involves having the small piece of text, like a few sentences, and the question. And we want to highlight the piece of text which specifically answers the question. So this is called question answering. And open domain question answering is the same, but applied to the big amount of text like Wikipedia or the whole corpus of articles. So traditionally for natural language processing, we need to build something called a language model. A language model would be a neural network which knows the structure of the language, which can, for example, predict sentences, which can build text from scratch, things like that. And originally, architectures like recurrent neural networks, like LSTM, were used to solve those tasks. Then the architecture of transformers, which involve attention mechanisms, was invented. And finally, the state-of-the-art models, to name a few, there is a BERT model, which I will be using in this example. And also there is Microsoft Turing natural language model, which solves similar tasks. And you have the links here. If you want to read more after my talk, you would be able to do that. So how BERT language model works? It is based on the idea of masked language model. So the idea of building masked language model is that we take the sentence and we mask some words in this sentence and we ask neural network to predict those words by looking at the whole sentence. So BERT model is bidirectional. It looks both right to left and left to right. It takes the whole sentence as a context, which is a good idea because when a human being understands the language, he also, like in his head, sometimes goes back and forth. Suppose like I have the sentence, and one of the things that the model has to do is to be able to predict what is the hidden word. And we typically hide something like 10–15% of the words from this text. And also another thing in the BERT model is next sentence prediction. So we should be able to say whether a given sentence can follow some sentence in our text or not. And we train this model on the large corpus of text, like we give it the whole Wikipedia or even more text from the internet. So it's a huge model. So normally when we are building something on top of BERT, we are not training this model from scratch. We are using BERT to solve our specific tasks. So, for example, if we want to use BERT for intent classification, what we would do, we would start with some input text. We would then pass it through the BERT model to produce some features, and those features we can then pass to a normal classifier, and at the end we would get the probability vector, like what is the intent. If we want to use BERT for entity extraction, we would do the same. We would extract features using BERT model, and then we would train mask generator. So the entity extraction would say, for example, that in this sentence, France means location. So it would return as a mask and the intent. And if you want to train BERT for question answering, we would do a similar pipeline, like first extract features and then generate the bounds for the answer. So suppose I have the sentence, my age is 21, and the question would be, what is your age? The model should return me the the last word is the one we are interested in. So that's those are different tasks. And to solve them, you can see that we need to build a kind of pipeline which involves BERT as pre-trained model and involves some other models which would do classification or mask generation. And to create those pipelines, there is one very cool, great, wonderful library created in Moscow Institute of Physics and Technology, which is called Deep Pavlov. And Deep Pavlov, the goal of Deep Pavlov is to provide very easy ways to compose those language processing pipelines, including pre-trained models. So if you think about it, originally, like neural networks, it was quite difficult to develop a neural network in TensorFlow, and François Chollet, the French developer, he built Keras on top of TensorFlow to simplify this task. And Keras allowed you to use pre-trained models to do image processing and things like that. So Deep Pavlov does the same for natural language processing. It allows you to compose models involving pre-trained models into pipelines. So the main notion in Deep Pavlov is the processing pipeline, which is specified using the JSON config file. So basically, you would write a config file which specifies inputs, outputs, and all the steps in the pipeline. What are inputs and outputs on every step, and it would also specify the location of input data. Then once you build the pipeline, you can say Deep Pavlov install, and this pipeline, it installs the pre-trained models which are needed. Then you can download the binary weights, and you can do Deep Pavlov train, which trains all parts of the pipeline which are trainable, giving you the final result. So that's how you typically do training with Deep Pavlov. If we go to open domain question answering model, it is done in two big steps, because as I mentioned, the task which is easier than open domain question answering is simple question answering. And for simple question answering, we need the short piece of text and the question, and we highlight the answer. So for open domain, that input text is big, so we build the model which first extracts the documents relevant to the question from the big set of documents, which is called ranker. So ranker would take the question, and it would take the document collection, and it would return us the set of document IDs which contain the answer. And then the reader would take these documents and return several possible answers with their probabilities, and we can then select the highest probability to give this answer back to the user. So that's how open domain question answering works, and I will show you how to train such a model using Azure Machine Learning. So Azure Machine Learning is the best machine learning offering that Microsoft has in Azure Cloud. But it's kind of a little bit complicated. So when I was first using Azure to train to solve AI tasks, I was using virtual machines because virtual machine is like an easy, obvious thing. You know how to use it. To use Azure machine learning, you need to do a certain you need to overcome certain barrier, but once you start using it, you cannot stop because it's very, very convenient. So I have created the set of articles in my blog to show how to start with Azure ML, and I will provide the links. You have the links here in the presentation, and I will also paste the links after my talk in the chat. So you can start using it yourself, and I will show one small example. I will try to have time to do that. So Azure ML, the good thing about Azure ML is that it was originally created as the technology for solving big problems. So if you want to train something big on the cluster to do some distributed training, that's ideal for it. But you can also solve simpler tasks as well. So now we are adding features for more beginner-friendly features like AutoML, where you can just give data and ask Azure ML to do different experiments to try to find the best model which can solve the problem. So it's good for beginners and for professional data scientists. And the best way to start with Azure Machine Learning is to use Visual Studio Code and Azure Portal, because you can, of course, automate everything. You can do all the tasks using scripts, but that's more difficult because you need to know the commands. You need to look for them in documentation, while in the portal and through the interactive interface, it's very easy way to begin. So the main notion in Azure ML is a workspace. A workspace encapsulates everything: data, compute, the results of experiments. And the first thing you do, you create a workspace in the Azure portal. So that's a pretty easy thing to do. You just go to Azure portal. You say, I want to do machine learning. You say, create machine learning portal. You give it a name. Yeah, this machine learning workspace would hold everything. I will place it in some group. There are two possible pricing options: enterprise and basic, and there is not a huge difference between them. So we can select basic. Even for our very complex task, basic would be enough. And once it's created, we go to a separate machine learning portal because you know, the Azure itself, it changes pretty fast. So we have the separate portal for ML specifically, which is it gives you more possible features. So the first thing you do after creating the workspace is switching to this portal, and then you never leave it. You always use it for all tasks. And here you have this portal. On the left, you have data sets, experiments, pipelines, everything. And let me start by creating a compute resource. So to train something, we would need a compute resource. So we go here, we say new, we provide the compute name, and yeah, we can select GPU or CPU. In our case, CPU should be enough, and low priority VM means the very cheap virtual machine. So I will skip this creation because it takes some time. So once we created the compute, the next thing we can do, we can submit experiments to run on Azure ML. And the advantage of this is that every experiment, like normally when you do machine learning, what you would do, you create a training script, you run it, you observe the result, you keep track of the accuracy, then you change the parameters, you run the model again, and you always need to keep the results of every training, and so that you can select the best one afterwards. And this is not this is very tedious, very simple, but very boring task. And Azure ML solves it for you. So the only thing you need to do, you need to store the resulting accuracy using a few lines of code in your script, and then you can just submit the script to run on Azure ML. So you can start with Visual Studio Code, and this is the Python script which does some handwritten digit recognition using MNIST dataset. Those words are familiar for everybody who learned, who started trying to do something with machine learning. So this script can run locally, but also it contains a few lines to log the accuracy in case it runs on Azure ML. You see, this is listed inside try except block. So in case we are running locally, it just skips that. In case we are running on Azure ML, it would log the accuracy. So we just click, I want to run this in Azure ML. We select the compute. We select the environment, like we need to, we're using scikit-learn. And that's important because the script would run on the cluster, and we need to package everything required in the container. So that's it. We have the JSON description with all the dependencies. Then we just select, we can change some properties here, but finally we just say submit experiment, and that's it. We can then go to Azure ML portal and see the results of this experiment. Let me skip this a little bit. Yeah, so here we go to experiments. You can see our experiment here. And it will take definitely some time to start, because once we start the experiment, it needs to scale up the cluster to create the working node to run it on, to package everything in the container. And if there are any problems, we will see them in the outputs plus logs. So in the outputs plus logs, we see the output of our script, and we can, like, that's the easiest way to see what is going wrong. Ideally, we should see the output of our Python script right here. And finally, when it finishes, we would be able to check the achieved accuracy also in the portal. And if there are several runs of the experiment, we will see the table, and we can compare the results and select the best one. So that's basically the easy way to use Azure ML. There are a lot of things that happen behind the scenes. So like when you submit an experiment, it packages all the directory in the container, stores it in some container registry. Then it deploys the container on the compute target. It mounts the data store with data. In our case, we were taking data from the internet, but ideally we would have the data set also in the workspace. So the good thing is that we are separating data from compute, and you can use expensive compute to train the model, and you can use cheaper compute to prepare the data in the data storage, for example. And all this is done automatically. And then once it's run on the cluster, you can stream back the logs, and you store the results. So that's how everything works. So you can also run Jupyter notebooks inside the dataset, inside the Azure ML workspace, and you can store data. So let me show you the example. If you want to start with COVID model, first of all, we need to define the dataset. So I just paste the link to the dataset on the web here. I say that it would be a dataset which refers to a file, and I create it in my dataset section. So now I have the dataset, and there is a code here how to consume it. Like what's the code required to get access to this dataset? Then to actually do something, I create the notebook right here in the notebook section. I would need to create the compute to run it on, so it runs on also on a specific virtual machine. But then what I do here is here is my data set, and I can mount it as the directory manually. As you can see in the data set, I have one compressed file with all the papers. So I decompress it. I just run the Unix command here to have everything in the result. And then I write a small Python code which extracts text from the JSON files. So JSON files, they contain both abstracts and text of our papers. I extract abstract and body text and place them in a separate text file here in the dataset. So you can see that I have created the directory where each paper corresponds to one text file, and this text file contains like the text of the paper. So I have prepared my dataset. Now I need to train the open domain question answering model. How do I do that? So I do that using notebooks. With notebooks, the good thing is that, as I mentioned, it decouples the storage from the compute. So I can use I could have done everything that I have shown you now on the cheap compute without GPU. And then to do actual training, I would need to create the powerful machine, because it would be very memory consuming. In my case, I had to create the virtual machine with 128 gigabytes of RAM and with GPU because it takes quite a lot of memory. So in Deep Pavlov, we have already pre-trained model for Wikipedia question answering. So the first thing we need to do, we need to take this existing config file, ODQA infer wiki, install it, download everything. It will take some time downloading from the web because the pre-trained models, they are several gigabytes in size. And then to run it, we just say in Python, we say ODQA equals build model. We build the model with this config, and then we can apply this model to the questions. So for example, I ask where did Guinea pigs originate, and I received the answer from Wikipedia. Now to the way it works is, as I mentioned, there is ranker. Ranker is defined by a separate config file, and there is question answerer, which is powered by RNet model by default. And to move this model, to apply this model to COVID papers, what we need to do is we need to train our own ranker on our own data set so that it gives us correct documents. And then what we want to do, we want to replace this answer part with BERT model, which provides much better answers. So how do we do that? First of all, to train the ranker, there is an existing, as I mentioned, there is an existing config called ranker TF-IDF wiki. And in this config, if you look inside this config, you would see that there is a path to data. And it says that the dataset format is wiki. What we need to do, we need to replace this path with a path to our text files, and we want to replace the dataset format with text. So that's how we do it. We load the config as a JSON file, then we replace dataset reader and data path with our path. And we also choose the batch size to be smaller than default because we have limited amount of memory. If you don't do that, we would run out of 128 gigabytes of memory. Once we do this training, we call train model. We have the ranker, and ranker, given the question, given the, for example, the word hydroxychloroquine, which is one of the possible medicines to cure coronavirus, it would give us a set of document IDs which is relevant to this question. So that's the first part, training the ranker. The second part, if we just try to use this question answering with the trained ranker, it's already working, so we can ask it what is coronavirus, but the answers are not good enough because RNet answerer is not flexible enough. It was trained on very specific data set, and we want BERT question answerer, which is much better. So to replace it, what we need to do in the config file, again, there is one of the variables which specifies the model to do question answering. So by default, it points to this multi-squad inference. And what we want to do, we want to replace it with BERT, with also pre-configured file with BERT. So we just handle this replacement, and at the end we get the model, which we can ask the questions like what is coronavirus, which drugs should be used, and so on. And here is the results that we were able to get. Like coronavirus is a respiratory tract infection. Like what is the incubation period, 3-5 days, what is reproductive number, 5.2, lethality 10%, and so on. So this looks pretty nice. Sometimes, of course, it gives answers which are not totally good, but it gives the very easy way to access this huge amount of information with questions. Of course, for scientists, probably they would not be happy with that. For them, probably the first part, the ranker, would be an appropriate instrument to use, but then they would probably want to have a look at the results themselves. But the reason I showed you this example is not to say that this is how you should use the data set to come up with some conclusions, but to show you the Essure ML. Essure ML gives me the great tool set to start handling this problem, and to show you this great library Deep Pavlov, which you can use to solve a lot of your own tasks related to natural language processing. So if you want to start with Azure ML, here are the good links. And if you want to read this, everything I said is described in my blog post, and I will post the link in the chat now. So with that, I think my time is up, and I give it back, and I will answer any questions you have in the chat.
Hey, Dimi. Hey, Dimo, that was wonderful. That was the fastest session that actually made sense that I've seen in a long time. You're a wizard. That was amazing. So thanks again. You have one or two questions from the community in the chat, so feel free to answer them. I feel like you should have a separate session at Build just for this, you know, so next time we need to give you some more space. But we definitely appreciate that you found some time for us today and did this great session. And the results especially. Thank you.
Thanks for the opportunity. I think the most interesting question, yeah, I don't have time for that, right? I will answer in the chat.
Yeah, just do the chat and then we'll figure it out as we go. We can always follow up with individuals, but moving on, I'm gonna move on now. Dimitri, thank you so much. I'll also follow up with you after. But if you have any more questions for Dimo, he's staying online, drop him in the chat. So moving on, we're going to talk about two communities here, and I'll have Masha kind of kick it off here.
Thank you, Martin. Hello, everybody. Maria speaking. Today, I would like to welcome Razitsa Fakaleyeva, inspirational MVP, Microsoft MVP, and the co-director of the Women Who Code community. And being a Microsoft employee for many years, I know how important it is to share such stories with the community, especially with young people. So, and I know this story will be very great, and looking forward. The stage is yours, Razitsa.
Give us a second. I'm gonna get the slides going here. Just a second.
Hello. Thank you, Maria. I'm waiting for you, Martin. Come on.
All right, go.
I want to see the pink slides, please.
All right, pink slides. Thanks, Masha, for the intro. Sorry, we had some technical glitches here. Go ahead. Pink slide.
Okay, thanks once again to all that I have the opportunity to talk about Women Who Code and women in technology and why this is really important for us. And before starting that, I will introduce myself. So please, the selfie slide. Next slide, Martin, please. Thank you. And as Maria said, my name is Rosi Fakaleyeva, and I'm from Sofia, Bulgaria. I really wanted to start it with that because I'm really proud of this fact, as Bulgaria is one of the countries with the biggest percentage of the women in technology. I'm not sure how many of you know that, but between 25 and 30% in the people working in tech here are actually women, and this is really a big number compared to the other countries. I'm also working in the tech industry the last 15 years. I'm currently working as a director of software engineering, and I'm running several engineering teams, developing a great components called Telerik UI. We're extending basically all .NET platforms. And I'm also a co-director of Women Who Code. Women Who Code is a global organization, non-profit, which mission is to inspire and excel women in technology, but I'll talk more about that later. And as Martin said, I'm really excited because I'm MVP since 2009, and this is my first build as such. I'm really disappointed that I missed the in-person events, but perhaps next year or the next one. And another interesting thing from Bulgaria is that we do not also have a different organization supporting women in tech, but there is a different organization supporting also children in tech, like Coder Dojo. Coder Dojo is also a global organization, but we have present in our country. And next slide, Martin. Thank you. And now let's talk more. Let's talk now why it's really important to have women in technology, because I know this is a trendy topic and not all of the people are really convinced in that. First of all, the women are almost like the half of the world population. And what is the job of the technology? The technology is the idea of the technology is to actually to make our world better and to create better products. And That's the reason why it's really important to have women not just as end users or consumers, but to have women being part of the whole process of developing and creation the technology and the products, because women think differently. Women use technology and women use products in a different way. That's why it's really important to have more women in product development, as product managers, as software engineers, as UX designers, marketing, and in every aspect that you may think about it. Another important reason is because simply we need more people in tech. And as you heard in the discussion panel, the opening positions in our industries are growing. But sadly, actually, women in tech are decreasing with changing the position on senior levels. What I mean is that actually it's relevantly easy to start as in our industry, but it's hard to stay there or to high hierarchically. Why? First of all, it's difficult for women because there is not enough role models, and almost every woman has this challenging aspect of his life when she should decide whether to focus on the career or to the family. And here is the role of organization like Women Who Code. Martin, let's skip the next slide and move to the next. Thanks. And here is the role of organization like Women Who Code. First of all, these are safe places. These are safe places where women can collaborate and discuss important questions like that. We organize regular meetings every month. Sometimes there are 2 or 3. Currently, they're happening, of course, online, and they're completely free. We launched the organization in Bulgaria in 2016, and there is more than 700 members right now. You can learn more about our events on the Facebook page, LinkedIn, Twitter, Meetup, and of course on the womenwhocode.com page. And next slide, please. Thank you. Another thing that Women Who Code Sofia contributes to the women, except giving them opportunity to talk with another women about different aspects of their career, is we're giving the chance to everyone who wants to speak to actually try these skills in safe and friendly environment. So if you are a woman and want to speak, please contact us. We are also giving, we are also having a lot of resources on our site. So you can go to womenwhocode.com and choose what to learn more about. And another important thing is that Women Who Code has representation in Bulgaria, has representation in Ukraine, Germany, and United Kingdom, USA. But there is not enough chapters in Central and Eastern Europe. So this is another chance. If you want to actually practice your leadership organization skills, contact us and we'll help you to have your local chapter. And another important thing is, of course, you can go to our events. And before giving back the microphone, I want to tell more to the women who are listening now several words. Please, Martin. So it's really important to tell you, please, really, please don't be shy. I'm saying that because I know how important is that, how women often have idea or are not vocal enough and they miss opportunities. So please don't be shy. Say what do you really think, say your ideas, because it's nothing critical will happen if you are wrong, but you'll be sorry, and it's good to be sorry, and it's good to be wrong than to be sorry, to wonder what would happen if you have said something. Another important thing is because I know that women are focused on the results and sometimes they're more strict to do the job. It's important to have every day some time for you to just have fun at work. So find your 10 or 15 minutes and just have fun and learn something new. This is the time that you deserve, so you can be more creative, and the product and the job that you are done will benefit from that. And these days are such, so use the opportunity here and build, and enjoy the conference, have fun, and learn something new. Thank you.
Thank you, Razitsa. We will recommend definitely women for code for some ladies in our area. And I pass my voice to next speakers, Lukasz, Michal.
All right. I hope you can hear me. You will see the folks whom activities I like every day in my LinkedIn feed. You know, I'm amazed by the number of activities driven by the Polish Azure user group, and I feel that's a great inspiration for all of the community folks who are joining us today. So Marek, Michal, please guide us through all of your great achievements, how we are literally empowering the folks from Poland who want to hone their cloud skills. But please do not forget to give some tips and unveil some nitty-gritty stuff that you will see it as a tips for other community leaders here.
Welcome to everybody. Thank you, Lukasz, for introduction. Today you can see only two of us. Martin, if you can switch to the next slide. But this group is built by more people than me and Marek. Martin, can you switch to the next slide?
Yeah, it's loading.
It's loading. Oh yeah.
Hopefully it works. Yeah.
Oh,
there we go.
Perfect. we are on. So our user group is quite special because we have one group for the whole country. Right now we have, let's name it, offices in 7 cities like Białystok, Katowice, Kraków, Łódź, Poznań, Warsaw, and Wrocław. And we are in there. We have like 13 leaders. And the great tip, or I think the only most important tip, is you need to have a lot of energy and have fun for working for the community. We have 13 great leaders that are helping us building the community and organizing great events. Martin, if we can switch to the next slide, I would like to show some numbers. Right now, we are, I think, if I think about two most important channels for us, this is like a meetup portal where we have already 2,800 meetups members, and this is the place where you will find information about this one is better, about our meetups, our workshop that is happening during the whole year. The second most important channel for us is Facebook user group. There we have almost 5,000 people. This is the place where we are exchanging ideas, talking about new technologies, new things that are coming to Azure. This is the place also when everybody is helping each other to solve the problems that they have in their daily Azure life. And just in 1 year, if we think about the meetings, meetups, workshops that we organized and have been mentioned on the meetup portal, it was 54 events. So almost every week, over even more than every week, we have one event regarding Azure in Poland. Let's think about our activities. Martin, if we can switch to the next slide. I would like to show you, I think, the most fancy, the most funny one. Of course, we are organizing meetups, workshops. I already mentioned that. We are doing this in online and also in stationary way. We are doing in Polish and English. So if you want to join us from not only from Poland, please check our webpage, check our Facebook page, and join to us. Then you can see here like Azure track. I will come back to this description of this project on the next slide. We took part as a Global AI Bootcamp, a Global AI Night, Global Azure Bootcamp, and so on. Also, we are organizing Azure Day, and here you can see on the first photo, this is, I would say, famous car in Poland, famous truck in Poland. It's called Żuk, in English Beetle. It has been designed in 1956, and this is, I think, the one and the only Żuk that has Azure built in. It has Azure Stack inside of it. There's a lot of IoT, AI, and many other fancy things that you can check how we can connect the new technology with quite old school stuff. More information you can find and also on our GitHub account. And then the second idea that you can see on this slide, this is Azure Day Poland. Each year we are celebrating Azure, organizing today's conference. On the first day we have a workshop. On the second one, this is one day of the conference, we have like 5 tracks. On those tracks we are sharing the knowledge from ops, from dev, so everybody can join it, can find something there. And what is more important, this is not only the event for Poland and the Polish people, because we have the speakers for the whole world. And there was, if we just can move back for one slide before, because I didn't manage to mention about tomorrow actions. The one is related to Girls in the Cloud, and there was like a first mentoring program that was focused on, or maybe not focused, this was for everybody, the target audience was the girls, and we wanted to encourage them to work with the cloud and Azure technology. Marek will say a bit more about that. And the second thing that is happening right now, it is mentoring program that it is like a continuation of the previous one. On the side, you have also 3 links. This is the link to our YouTube channel. You will find the recordings from our sessions, LinkedIn account, also the place where you can track our activities, and also our GitHub account. And Martin, if we can switch to slide forward, and then I will give a voice to Marek and ask for more, to say something more about our Azure mentoring program and also this Girls in the Cloud. Marek?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Thanks, Michał, for introduction. As Michał mentioned, last year we ran a program called Girls in Cloud. So it was done with cooperation with Polish chapter of girlsintech.org. So idea behind the program was to introduce more ladies, more women into our community, into cloud technologies. So that was what we observed, actually, that there is number of guys joining the cloud meetups and attending and speaking, but the amount of women in the community is quite low. So that was the idea, to change that number. And we, as a Microsoft Azure User Group Poland, continue this effort this year with new program called Azure Community Mentoring 2020. So we gathered 20 great mentors. And the idea this time is to prepare 8 tracks. So all the potential mentees can submit their applications to one of the tracks, picking one of the mentors. So we have track for developers, for DevOps, for infrastructure architecture, data science, etc., etc. And this time, this is dedicated for more experienced professionals, I would say. So if you are someone who is experienced with other technologies or would like to learn more about the Azure, but you have a prior experience, then I think that program is basically for you. And of course, this is intended for everyone who would like to participate. And the idea, again, is to get our community to the next level, to get it wider, and to actually get more people into our team. So if you are interested, the application process is still open. You can submit your application survey till midnight of May 24th. This is Sunday midnight. And for more details, please visit our website, mentoring.azurecommunity.pl. And that's basically it. So you, Martin, mentioned about it. That was actually, there was a question about what are the tips we could get for all of you. So I would say, just listen to your colleagues, listen to community members. There are always people who are leaders in the community, people who actually think outside of the box, people who have great ideas, but sometimes they are not heard. And if you are into your community, if you are a person who listens to others, then these ideas can be easily picked up and they can be easily grown to the scale and to the it can be shaped into something you can see on the screen, right, on our websites. And that's it. Martin, I'm just wondering, maybe you have another question, because I think we're out of time.
Yeah, we're slowly gonna wrap up. So I don't have any questions. I'll make sure this gets shared. We'll have a recording, so we'll share that as well, so that people get access to all the content you shared. But with that, I'll give it back to Lukasz, and you guys can wrap up.
Definitely. No, thank you. And before we close, we have a couple of great updates how you might experience even more fun from the OLA build agenda. And with that, I will hand over to Lucy, who will talk about exciting new projects which we announced yesterday.
Thank you, Lukasz. Yeah, very briefly, I'm happy to announce that Microsoft Learn TV is alive right now. You can go to microsoft.com/learn/TV and check it out right now. You will see there the stream from Microsoft Build, but on May 21st at 5 p.m. Central Eastern European time, we will start the launch celebration with the live streaming sessions, technical sessions, and we will continue until forever, because Learn TV is TV that is always on, that provides high quality content, live and free technical content. So join us tomorrow on May 21st or on any other day in the future at microsoft.com/learn/TV.
All right, thank you, Lucy, for sharing. And the last slide for today. So do not forget to provide the feedback to all of the speakers whom you've seen today, which is a magic feature of all of the Teams Live products. So definitely provide some comments. What do we want to see in the future? What kind of sessions you want to see in the session builder? We want to make sure that we adjust all of our future events per your opinions. And do not forget about other sessions. There are plenty of great community resources from around the world who are co-hosting their talks like we've done today. There's exciting track driven by our Microsoft for Startups team. So in case you are representing the business side of the technology, definitely you will find more updates there. If you are excited about sustainability, there are great sessions showing our data centers behind the scenes and how we are trying to make them as green as we could. And the final update, we are running our Cloud Skills Challenge. There are several tracks, and we've seen the hundreds of people joining for the nice quests across the whole of our solution areas. So in case you are coming with any background, I'm sure you'll find a lot of fun there. And most important fact is that on top of free exam vouchers for those who are active, you could also support those in need, as a team who will win could contribute and support one of the NGOs with the prize, which is the main one. So go to the main site of Build, look for more sessions. Do not forget about Cloud Skills Challenge, and definitely thank you all for joining us, and thank you for all the speakers and all the people who've been supporting us behind the scenes today. And Martin, you've been opening, so I cannot I'll leave the session without passing the voice to you then.
Thanks. As you can see, I'm drawing the slides here, and I wasn't expecting you to hand it back to me, but appreciate it. Thanks everyone for joining today. It was wonderful. We'll make sure we post a recording and answer any questions we didn't get answered in the chat. Check out all the cool links we provided, and make sure you join other community events and that you get involved with the community if you're not. As I said, it could be a chess club, volleyball community, a sport community, any community. Just get involved because people want to work with you, and people are inclusive, and they love building communities. So it's better to be part of a community than not. So think about what you're passionate about and join a community. With that, I'm going to end the live stream here. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to all the speakers, MVPs, RDs, Microsoft speakers, and all the attendees. Thanks, and enjoy Build going forward.